I have to apologize to this company in particular because I like this company too well, but I got to apologize to them for what I had to do. Samsung, I don't like doing this, but I have to. You guys did really good work on your subwoofer, because this is not one of those subwoofers you'd buy from Walmart, Best Buy, and get rid of it after a few. No, this one's actually a uniquely built one that you guys did. Unfortunately, it's one of those. Well, trying to connect my phone to it, but it won't allow me to connect to it. But what I found out this thing has, not on this side, it's on the other side, is what I like. But this is what I have to apologize on. I kind of broke it open. And I gotta give you guys props on something. I did not know this whole thing was mounted from this side and these two screws. I literally undid all the screws around this and these two to pry that off, not knowing that was just holding this piece together to keep no airflow basically. If you have airflow in your subwoofers, there's a problem, but usually home theater systems has airflow. If you own a sound bar or a sound kit in your truck and there is airflow in the speakers, you need to get that rig on immediately. You have any airflow in your subwoofers in your car, you're not doing it right. Airflow means airflow. High bass will not be there. I have a box. This one is going to be resealed shut. Now, I'm going to reseal this thing again after I kind of do what I'm doing with it. Which way does this thing go? Uh-oh. Did I break it that far? No. Okay. But yeah, I have to apologize to Samsung because I broke this off and broke these off because they did it so well. Now, if anyone knows how to connect a phone to these things, please let me know. But another part I gotta apologize with them on. Same thing with this. I had to break it off. I hate breaking anything Samsung related. I really do. I love Samsung so much, I hate breaking anything open. But this is what the setup looks like. And also, Samsung's did something I have never seen any other speaker company do. Especially the cheap on brand. Come on, guys. You guys are cheaply made. You guys make Roku TVs. You guys are so cheap, it's just pitiful. I'm surprised Apple doesn't do it, because they're dumb. But Samsung's actually did this little buddy, which helps by a lot. No soundbar for your amp. That's what this is. Don't worry about power. This thing connects directly to the subwoofer. And I've had a Samsung speaker in the past. It was a powered subwoofer wireless connect. You know what I did? Pulled the motherboard out, and I had to literally rig wires to it. This one's already there. For those, unlike every other speaker brand, Samsung cares for you. Unlike them, Samsung puts something for those who can't connect it wirelessly. So if you can't connect it wirelessly, got that little buddy that hooks up strictly to the sub. Sadly, you don't get the amp because that's for the wireless connect, unfortunately. But let me see if I can pull this back out again. There it goes. If I'm not mistaken, I can easily fix that little problem, because that right there is, I believe, the power to the whole setup right there. I had this thing turned on and I actually did touch my fingers on that. Nothing. Well, copper coils, more copper coils, amp look thingamajig, that could stay. Yeah, copper coils right there, and a few other little schematics here and there can be pulled out, ripped out. And then this piece, well, I can't use that because that's just for the wireless piece. Now, if you're wondering what I mean about the speaker, for those who don't have a soundbar, let me pull the speaker itself out to show you. After I found my screwdriver. For like the 5th time. There it is. That's not it. There it is. And I'm not your typical city person who just says audio is good. I am literally one of those redneck audiophobes. I will judge your system hardcore. I can hear airflow, detect airflow, and detect a problem in your bass. Last night with Halloween, there was someone in a big souped up truck. I was trick-or-treating with a friend of mine, and apparently when we went by this truck during Halloween, he had his doors open, and apparently my friend knew a couple girls in the back of this truck with this one dude sitting right next to it. Immediately, out loud, I said, I hear airflow. There is airflow in it. Apparently my friend said the girls were looking at me weird because I said airflow, and he gave me a dirty look because I said airflow. If you have airflow in your speakers, subwoofer-wise, in your truck, I'm sorry, buddy, you need to get that fixed big time. Airflow means big bass is no longer there. He probably did it on purpose for kids, but I'm sorry, I don't care. If I'm going to put subwoofers in anything, no airflow is going to be allowed, unless it has it built in. That's the only acceptable part, if it's built in. If there is no hole, no hole. Now, anyway, unlike other companies, Samsung, you guys did the right thing for once. Yeah. Oh. Come on. Oh. Okay. Sorry, speaker got caught. Anyway. Right there. This cord right here that my finger's on goes right to the ear. That cord goes out through here and boom. Right there. Now what I'm going to try to do one day is I'm going to find a way to... Samsung, I hate saying this, I'm going to break this apart. All that's going to be broke off. I'm going to see if I can find a way to get these amplifier thingies torn down to power this thing up. Granted, this thing is a 4 ohm, so that's going to be at least, see, 2 to 3 ohm is usually decent. My old dual speaker was a 4 ohm, now it's a 550 max. This one's going to be at least, considering it's a house speaker, between the watts of 40 and 120 watts max. Just by judging by that number 4. So yeah, my bad, I dropped some keys. But I was holding my foot in case you ask. But anyway, judging by the 4 ohms on this speaker, which is right there, 40 to 120 watts. Can't test it, but the thing is yeah. Also, not only that, this too. Yeah. Now, here's a problem with your speakers. This is something you're going to have to learn about. Okay? If you get a powered subwoofer and the rating is that big, 137 watts, that does not necessarily mean that's 137 watts. In reality, this, I could be wrong. It could be a 20 to 30 watt speaker. They actually, some companies, Samsung, you're in the range, will design a subwoofer to blow, because the amp is higher than what the subwoofer acts. I have had a 200 watt amp powering a 70 watt speaker. I've had this thing cranked up all the way. When I listen to my bass, I don't expect it to be low. I expect the volume on the powered part to be on high, max, for the best effects, because I usually have a car sub connected to my power sub, which has diffusers in the middle. If you don't know what a diffuser is, it pretty much stops the car subwoofer from pulling power from the amp. That's the biggest issue with people in radios. The reason why your radio would break with the subwoofer is because the subwoofer is pulling power from the amp, and that will destroy the amplifier, which makes the radio totally useless. I had to fix up my friend's surround sound here a while back. That one right there. That's the subwoofer down there. The problem with it is, it's not what it says. Friend told me that it was replaced. The subwoofer was. Well, I'm going to find a way to replace the subwoofer for a higher powered amp. So in that case, with this one, same thing. If it blows on me, it's going to be replaced. Sorry, someone was walking down the hallway. But anyway, if you read these things, do not go by that big number. Don't. Sometimes that little number could be actually what it is. Even though that's AC 110, 120 volts, 60 hertz, 50 to 60 hertz, 28 watts. That is probably what the speaker really is right there. That is what the amplifier can do. So yeah, that little number, 28 watt, is probably what that speaker can do. Because that is the original. That is probably what the amplifier can do. You see the problem there. If you don't, I will show you the problem. I'll zoom into the problem. That little number, okay, is what this subwoofer does. That subwoofer could be a 28 watt. This big number, okay, is what this thing can do. 137 watts going to a 28 watt speaker. Can you guess what's going to happen to that little speaker? Your little speaker is going to blow immediately. They designed them for pretty much small to medium sized audio. I have many subwoofers come in and go because of that issue. Because, well, the speaker will be smaller than what the amp can do. And honestly, this is actually a way companies make money off of you. They design them, they make the speaker so you think it's good. Okay, now you're convinced that it's a good speaker. But what companies don't want you to know, like I said, right there. Because who knows? That could be what the speaker is. I just realized that is what the speaker is. I just realized. That's a 28 watt. This is a 28 watt speaker. I found out. How I just found that out? Because I have a Philips sound subwoofer at the house. At my real house, I'm at a friend's house. But I have a Philips speaker at the house. Powered sub. And the speaker on the back has a little number that said 40 watts. I'm doing this as an example. It had a little number that said 40 watts. The big number was 73 watts. Guess what the speaker actually said? 40 watts. The speaker itself said 40 watts. The amp was a 70 watt, leading to a 40 watt speaker. So therefore, this is a 28 watt. Samsung, I'm sorry to say this, guys. I love your company. But let's try not to be like Apple and pry the money out of everyone's pockets. I mean, come on. Apple doesn't know how to make an epic sound system like you guys can do. You guys make some epic phones from the past. Nowadays, phones are just piece of crap. All of them. But you guys knew how to make some really good stuff. Let's not go Apple and go where you want the money and not the, well, quality. The S9 Plus was one of the best phones by Samsung that I know of. The best. But now you guys are just making an S20 after S20 after S20, which it looks the exact same like an iPhone. I can't even tell the difference between an iPhone 11 and iPhone 15 Pro. They look the same to me, just uglier and uglier and uglier. And probably a few bombs in the phone because, well, they just don't know how to stop overheating. Speaking of that, my iPhone actually overheated on me earlier. The flash was disabled. Why? I was using 4K 60 PS or FPS. The flash was disabled. I clicked on the flash. Can't use flash due to overheating or phone's getting hot. My 4K quality is not worth damn if my phone's gonna overheat. And yet everybody likes that 4K quality. Well, got news for you guys. How am I supposed to use 4K if my phone's gonna overheat and blow up in my hand? Let's go use Motorola or Samsung. I know they can do it. Look at my S9 Plus. It's been crushed by a box TV and still does. And it supports 4 to 8K quality. Do not ask me how I know that. I've trained the phone. Anyway, but yeah. With speakers, like I said, Samsung, I apologize for having to break this thing open. You guys did a really good job. But I just learned that myself about this. Big number, amp, little number, possibly what the subwoofer does. So, if you get a new sound system, just remember, your sub will be blown if you crank it up all the way. So, you might want to open these things up. I mean, you might want to get these things opened up. Pull the speaker out of its box. Find this stuff if it has it. 9 times out of 10 it will. Or just look at the back of it for these numbers. This is just an example. Not all of them looks the exact same. But look for these numbers. And find out what that big number would be. So depending on the speaker, depends on what it's going to be. What's that? Whatever that big number is, find a speaker for that big number. And there you go. So if your audio system is a 210 watt and the speaker rates at a 70 watt, find a 210 watt speaker. Or higher. And if you have to, go a little bit to the cheap route and buy a diffuser for the radio or for the sub. What that does is it would diffuse the bass down to protect the amp. That way the amp does not fully connect to the subwoofer. It'll have a diffuser in the middle. The diffuser, the amp will go into the diffuser, and the diffuser is pretty much a bass. It'll deepen the bass down a little bit where it kind of has a depth precision to it where helicopter sounds more realistic than your standard on speaker or your standard iPhone speaker. It has more depth precision, and it'll also protect the amplifier from having extra power pulled. So if you put a little bit higher speaker in it, that's 137. Let's just say you put a 400 watt in there. Yeah, if you put a 400 watt and put that diffuser in the middle, it'll protect this from being blown because the speaker cannot pull any more power from this. And no, it will not pull power from the diffuser either. I have a 3,000 watt speaker connected to a 73 watt sound subwoofer, powered. There's 2 diffusers in the middle. One for pretty much all speakers and one for itself built in. It has a depth precision times 2 plus the amp. So that's 3 depth precisions right there. And yes, this thing can kick hard. Kicks harder than your standard Dodge Ford pickup truck's radio. And that is true. I've had somebody hear my audio and ask, am I using a car amp? I told them, nope, I'm just using a power sub on a car sub. Modified. Their mouths dropped. They said that my audio is better than theirs. Diffusers make a big difference, guys. You don't got that diffuser, you're more likely going to blow this. Because I am going to probably tear this apart and end up going to make a homemade amplifier for this little buddy. Samsung, I apologize to you guys. You guys did a good job, but I can't use it because it's wireless, so she's coming apart. I'm going to find a way to seal it all back shut for no airflow. I'm not being the dual and having airflow. I'm not being like Apple and have water going in and out or air going in. I'm sealing this thing shut like a Samsung device should be. Actually, for all these new phones, I don't know if they're sealed shut. So this thing is gonna be like a Alltech Lansing iPod dock and sealing it shut. You guys know what I'm talking about when I say Alltech Lansing. Alltech Lansing did a hell of a job with that iPod dock. A hell of a job. If you don't know what I mean, I have a short uploaded about Alltech Lansing and their adhesive. That thing was covered from rim to rim, port to port. Where if that thing got soaked, unlike your iPhone 15 Pro, it ain't gonna break easy. You have to leave that thing. I don't even know if that thing's gonna be broke. Ports may be rusted, but man, that thing, it would adhesive down like nothing. So yeah, there's my little information for you guys. Upgrade your speakers if they blow, because like I said, look for that. Big number means what the amp does. Little number would be what the speaker does. If you don't know how to replace it, hate to say it, you may have to be in my shoes. Pop the cover, including if you have to break it off. Companies kind of don't want you to know that because they want your money. If you want the quality, you would have to sacrifice some parts, break it open, go this route, replace, boom. And if you can put a diffuser in there to help keep the amp safe. You want that little buddy here to be safe. Always to be safe. That goes out, well, you can use the box, but once that goes out, that's game over for it. Speaker can still stay if it's not blown. Box, if it's not in ashes, it can still stay. But like I said, find out what these ratings are, especially these little things. All powered subs have this, all of them. Mine, right there, says 72. Right there, I don't remember the number, but I believe 120. That was my speaker. That's the amp. So if you think about it, yeah, got to interchange these things out. And here's the kicker on this one before I have to end this. My powered sub went from a 72 watt. That big number on my sub definitely supports now. Since it is a 120 watt, it definitely supports the subwoofer. I threw a 200 watt subwoofer perfectly in the box. So you think about it. The original is 72 watts. I put a 200 watts speaker in that dang thing, and it's 120 watts max. And it works just perfect. It actually works 10 times better. And the speaker is not trying to pull power because it is getting the full potential. And the amp is not even overheating itself, because that's what the subwoofer's for. Oh, in case you guys don't know that part, there's a reason why speakers don't come with a fan. If you don't know why, right here, then you're dumb. Air hole. Amp overheats. Well, heats up. Speaker flexing for your music. Air hole. Pushing air out. Put your hand there, you feel a little warmth. That's not the speaker. That's the amp. That's the fan for the amp. Higher this thing goes, hits power, pushes. So in other words, unlike Apple, this thing has a built-in fan. If you don't know what that means, you're stupid. But this is the fan for the amp. However high this thing goes, this thing will flex the heat out. In case you didn't know that part. How I found that out? Because my speaker, dual, was overheating. Or no, the amp was overheating. Found out the speaker was not flexing. Came undone. The amp was so hot it could have caught on fire. What I did, connect the speaker back on, cranked it up. 5 minutes later, that amp was cooler than none. So, this is actually being cooled down by this. With it flexing, pushes heat outwards. Like I said, different radios, depends. And anything Roku related does not count as good. Anything Apple related does not count as good. If it's Apple, you might as well upgrade or downgrade that thing. Best sound systems today is between the years of 1970 and 2005. I don't know the year of this thing yet. Once I find out, I'll probably put a comment of what year this thing is. I'm hoping Samsung does not disappoint me on this thing. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and go. Got someone walking into the room.